Hey, everybody.
How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm. The wind is a whipping around here. I don't know if you can. I'm
It
kind of out
is,
here in the country, and my chimes are going nuts today.
it's been a couple of moments where I thought, my gosh, the roof is about to come off. And I was
Yeah.
looking outside and looking at the trees, and even with no leaves on, man, they're just rocking and rolling.
Yep. We're having the same thing up here. We
Kind of
are.
nuts.
I know. All this weather is kind of nutty. I've talked to people today. I'm just curious. If if anybody's on and you want to share, I'd love to hear if it's warmer or colder or rainier or drier where you are, because it seems to be a real topsy turvy kind of weather thing all across the U.S. It's just interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, if you're here, we appreciate it. And thanks for spending some of your Thursday afternoon with us. Make sure you give us a thumbs up or a like just to let us know that you're here. And so that we can call you out and thank you for being here. Always feel free to comment. We're going to be talking about a subject today that's got a lot of depth and um, some good information, but may raise some questions too. So we definitely want to make sure that we take your questions while we're on today. So thanks everybody, and let's get started talking about a question that we get asked a lot about SEO and how long it takes to actually see results. Once you start with SEO, how long does it take to get results? I think this is a great topic, Taylor. By the way, I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more what you say have to say about it, because I know it's changed over the years.
well, it has changed, and this is one of the funniest things that this is an answer I found from somebody online when they were asked this question. Someone that does SEO. This is his answer. How long does it take to walk around the world? And basically he said this. So, some people are in wheelchairs. So they really kind of push themselves around the world. So they're going to be slower. Then other people fast walk like nobody's business. So they're going to be faster. And then there's all the rest of us in between. So to ask that question, there's so many other questions that have to be asked. So that's really what we're going to talk about is, the results that you get in SEO really starts with questions of why you want to do SEO, if SEO is the thing you should be doing, and when you do it, how aggressive do you need to be? So these are all kind of different aspects. It's everybody thinks that SEO is like you hit the SEO button and poof, it happens, and it's really not like that. So let's just dive into this. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Well, Hannah says it's been a wet winter in central Richmond area. So thank you, Hannah. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been wet here too. Here we go. First thing you have to do is figure out what your goals are. So some people really just want to maintain the work that they already have. And I think there's better ways and better places to put your money to maintain the work that you already have as opposed to doing search engine optimization. Because search engine optimization is expensive. There's a lot to it. It's not just content driven, but it's also technology. I mean, there's a lot of tech stuff underneath the hood that has to be done. A lot of people don't realize that. And if you attend the Spark Live every week, we've talked about that. So, if you don't know anything about that, go back because we've had several Spark Lives that we have talked about technology and the use of technology in search engine optimization and why it's just not a one size fits all thing. So let's talk about maintaining the work you have first. If all you want to do is maintain the customer base that you have, having a platform, Customer-matic does it, where you're emailing people. If you're a small company, you can certainly go into, MailChimp, or what are some of the other ones? Active Campaign.
Constant contact.
To set up your customer base and make sure you're staying, uh, in contact with them and maintaining that. And then, from there, asking them for referrals of their neighbors and friends and those kind of things. That's a really good way to just maintain the work you have. But there's a totally different play, that you have to look at between maintaining what you have and growing. So if you're growing, then at that point, then search engine optimization absolutely is something that you should at least consider. The other thing about maintaining the work you have, postcards is a great way to do that. Just send postcards to your, the customers that you have. Give them a 10% discount if they refer somebody to you, and that person uses you. I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can do this without spending money on search engine optimization. So it really is about your goals. What's your goal? So that's number one. So here's number two. Why are you even looking at SEO? Are you losing market share? Is your phones just not ringing like they used to? Then you have to say, well, is it just your phones or is it everybody's phones in the market not ringing? Those are two different questions. You got to know why the phones aren't ringing. Or the phones aren't ringing because it's 70 degrees in Nashville, Tennessee in January. And, the phones ring here for the chimney industry when it gets cold. We've had one really bad cold snap, and that's it. Did you go? This is my favorite one. I get calls that, why do you want SEO? Well, I was at this thing or I attended this thing and somebody said I needed to have SEO. Okay. So, that's another deal. You don't necessarily need it just because everybody else is doing it, because everybody's situation is different from you. And you really do have to look into that. And then the other thing is this is something that just breaks my heart when people call me and say, hey, I'm dying. I don't have any money. I'm out of money. I don't know what I'm going to do. And somebody said to call you. Well, back in the day when I was a multimillionaire, which was never, I could work for free. I can't work for free today. I don't know if any of y'all could do that. We have employees, we have overhead, we have the same issues every other business has. And so when somebody calls me in that situation, it's just not a quick fix. SEO is a long-term play.
To be clear, though, there are things that we can do that are faster to show results. So, don't not call us simply because we're talking about SEO not being a quick fix, because there are other strategies that are. But SEO is
SEO is not one of them.
Not going to rescue you if you're trying to figure out how to make payroll.
Yeah, and the bottom line is this is really about search engine optimization. And Carter's 100% correct. But when people call me and say, I talked to so-and-so and they say, I really need search engine optimization and you've got a great reputation. So that's what I need. And we dig deeper. They don't have any money and they need something now. So that's not the answer. So absolutely. So just want to make sure, you have any questions from that, Carter?
Well, not questions, just I think something maybe to add, the fact that search engine optimization and the strategies that are employed to make it possible and to make it happen are cumulative, meaning they kind of stack up and add up over time. And they have an effect that as they accumulate, as that effect starts to build, you start to see more and more momentum going. But it really is like getting a freight train off out of the gate or out of the station. It's it takes a tremendous amount of effort in the beginning. You're not seeing much movement. As things continue and momentum picks up, then it becomes an unstoppable force. I mean, it becomes something that can continue giving you returns literally for years if it's maintained well. But in the beginning, it's
a slow slog.
Yeah, it's like a freight train. Yeah.
The other thing is search engine optimization cannot be turned off. That's the other thing you need to understand. We've had people that have hired us and we've done a great job for them, but we have overwhelmed their systems, overwhelmed their staff. and they're like, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And there is no turning it off. So, sometimes, you have to be ready for it. But then I've had other people that are like, yeah, I've hired 15 people. I'm ready. And it's like, whoa, this is not immediate. I like SEO when it's a really good, slow paced growth, because the SEO can grow as you learn and grow your team. That's really, to me, one of the reasons I like SEO. But while we're here, I want to tell you one of my favorite things, that if you need a quick fix, I'm going to give it away, Carter. You ready?
Sure.
Database reactivation. That's my favorite thing right now. If you need a quick fix to get people in the door, then come up with a deal, get your database, whether you reactivate them through email or SMS, I don't care. The thing is, you got to be careful. So make sure you're following all the rules.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't encourage anybody to attempt it on their own without at least some consulting help, because there are federal laws with regard, the FCC, as well as Congress and the CAN-SPAM Act, that are, they govern what you're able to do when you email consumers or text, consumers. So you have to do it in a specific way. It has to be done with integrity, and it has to be done. You have to spend a lot of time figuring out how to clean your list and make it something that's sustainable, and something that's not going to overflow or flood and overwhelm you and your staff. The worst thing in the world is to do these big batch emails like, MailChimp, send it out to, 14,000 people, and you get flooded with a response within the first 3 to 5 days of sending out that big email blast with a special offer. Everybody wants the offer, but nobody wants to wait 3 weeks. And by the end of the second or third day, you're already booked out. All your appointments are, you're scheduling further and further out. People get frustrated, and you're losing business because there's a way to architect it a little bit better. So yeah, it's definitely worth getting a little more specific with how to do it.
Yeah. And since this is not the topic, we're going to do that, but I'm going to say that's right now my favorite way to, if you need a quick fix.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there. And where you start, by that, it's not whether you start, it's where you start. Where are you right now? What has been done so far? Have you optimized your Google business profile? Do you even have a website? Where are you? Because sometimes people haven't even done the basics yet. And so search engine optimization does you absolutely no good if you don't have a website. And it also does you no good if you have a really, I don't want to say bad website, but a poorly developed website, both technically and in content. So, there's some things that has to be done first before you can really implement a search engine optimization strategy. It's one of the reasons in our packages that we build the website. When we sell an SEO package, we actually build new websites in that package. And the reason is because we have to have a website that we know that's going to work with all the other stuff that we do. So, that's just kind of how that works. And a lot of people don't understand that, but it's really important to just know that it's not, there's some multiple things that have to happen. So
here's a question that I've heard once or twice, but I'm going to ask it a little differently for you.
Okay.
You don't want to put the cart before the horse. So which comes first, or which is more important to really focus on getting right first, SEO or your online reviews?
Okay, so I would say online reviews.
That's kind of what I was thinking you'd say, but I agree. I think
there's reasons for that. Number one,
money if you don't.
Yeah. Number one, you can have the best SEO. This is what I was thinking. It's not that SEO is not a good play for you. You could have the best search engine optimization, come up number one, optimize your Google My Business profile, have everything perfect, be number one everywhere. But if you got a 2.5 star review, nobody's going to call you. They're just not going to call you.
Yep.
So, to me, you always start with reviews. Now, there's several things that I'm going to tell you, though. You should always ask for reviews. It should not be an option on anybody. You should have a system of some kind to ask for reviews. Even if it's just, hey guys, part of your job is ask for every reviews, and I give you $10 for every review you get. I don't care how you do it, but you got to have a system of some kind to get reviews. And then you need to get better reviews than negative reviews. And also don't be afraid of negative reviews, because everybody knows you're going to mess up. Just make sure that, people aren't trying to tell you that your baby's ugly. They're upset. They've had things that have happened within the relationship that, for whatever reason, you have your point of view, they have their point of view. You're really going to answer that based on the people that come after them. It's not so much that you're trying to turn every review into a 5-star, but you're trying to make sure that the people behind them that read the review and read the responses are reading a well-written, balanced response from the owner, because they look at that and they go, I can deal with this person.
Most of the time when we take on a new client and we start SEO for them, we're looking at their reviews. And if they don't have really good reviews, as we start SEO, that's the perfect time. And there's nothing that says that you have to wait to do SEO until your reviews are good, because remember, SEO takes a while to ramp it up. So that's the perfect time to start ramping up good reviews too, so that by the time you've gotten your reviews to a much better place and you've raised your score and your stars and everything, then that SEO is starting to generate attention, and it's sending them, to a company who's got great reviews now. So it's a great time to do both kind of in tandem.
Yeah. So the other thing I would make sure, if you have not claimed your Google business profile, make sure you claim it. And there's a lot of instruction online on how to optimize the Google business profile. So do everything that you can to get that optimized. If you have more than one Google business profile, you got to be careful, because there's some things that you really do have to weigh and be careful about in order for both of them to give you what they should. So, that's really important too. So the other thing is your location. I mean, local optimization only. So it's really about your Google business profile being well optimized is going to give you work around where you are. It's your location. It's location based. It's on the map. You got to understand that's the way Google works. It's not the way I work. It's not the way you might want it to work. It's just the way Google works, and we all have to understand we play in Google's playground, and we may not like their rules, but they get to set the rules. I mean, they don't ask me. They're not consulting me. I wish they would, but they don't consult me. So we just have to do things within their playground. And it's not because I say so. It's because that's the way it is. And I have to understand that. And everybody else does too. So it's just kind of the way it goes. The other thing is if you are in an area, a lot of people serve a metropolitan area and live sometimes as much as 40, 50 miles outside of town. That's a really tough thing to get on the Google business profile unless you get another location in the area of which you serve. So if I live in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I want to serve Nashville, Tennessee, one of the ways to optimize my local presence is to go get another location in Nashville, Tennessee. But it's got to be a location that Google approves of. So what does Google approve of? Well, they want you in a location where you can have a sign where somebody actually is. They get mail there. There's a list of things that you have to do. Is it worth it? That depends. It may start being really cheaper to rent really good locations because there's so much remote work going on and there's a lot of commercial space available right now. So it may be a really good time to start looking at that, but there's a cost to it. So, just know there's some real things about that you have to consider. So, how far are you from the real address? That's what you have to think about. Now, when it comes to organic, part of search engine optimization is what are you optimizing your website to? What town? And a lot of people don't even take advantage of that.
Yeah. I can't think of a single person that we've recommended this strategy to that has done it and regretted it. Even with its complexity and additional cost and all of the logistics and everything of having a second location presence in their target market area, it almost always opens the floodgates to new business that they weren't getting because Google wasn't showing them for that area. So I mean, it's a very solid strategy.
Well, and the number one complaint is it cost me X amount of money to do that. So at the same time, people are spending sometimes $3,000 and $4,000 a month to get ads.
What did you used to spend on Yellow Pages?
Yellow Pages, yeah. And so to get another small office somewhere that meets the guidelines, yeah, it may cost you $1,000. It may cost you $2,000 a month. But I guarantee you that would be less than what you were spending in Yellow Pages 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So you kind of have to look at this and say, okay, what is the best way for me to get to where I want to get to? And then start working on it. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. The competition. Now, this is very interesting. When we started in 2010, there just wasn't a lot of competition in Chimney. There's still, comparatively to plumbers and HVAC companies, there is still not a lot of competition in chimneys. So, there's more competition in the Northeast than there is in Florida. All right. There's more competition in Michigan than there is in Texas. So, some of your competition ramps up in those areas that really rely on furnaces and oil furnaces and, all that stuff. So if you have, the more competition you have, the more SEO costs to do. That's just the way it works because you got to work harder, smash faster, smarter. That's just the way it is. And then you have to notice others that are coming into your area. And here's another thing. There's some bad actors out there, and I can't quite pinpoint them. The ones that actually have websites and those kind of things, I can normally find where they are, who they're working for, those kind of things. But there's people that right now, there are a few companies that are using ads, and they're allowed. They're allowed to use Google Ads anywhere in the country they want, and they are selling their services really, really cheap. Sometimes $79, sometimes $99 to get in the house. That's just part of it, guys. There's not anything anybody can do about ads. They're paying Google. They're paying a bunch of money to Google to get there. So the only way that you can compete with them, you can either lower your prices and lose money, and nobody's going to do that. Let them lose the money. Or you just stay in your zone because eventually it will get out of the quality of work they do.
Yeah.
It's a waiting game. And I'm going to say it sucks, but that's the way it works.
I think everybody, after a little while that one of those kinds of companies or several of those fly-by-night type companies are in an area, they earn a reputation really quickly, and word spreads that you need to find somebody who is local, who, has been around for a long time. And so even though they're showing up in ads and competing with you there, the business that you really want isn't going to go to them most likely. It's going to go to companies like you that have been around longer and established yourself, especially if you're already playing the SEO game.
So I think the other thing about that that's really, really important is to understand that a lot of these guys, they're scammers, just like people have talked about the scammers in the Northeast that go in and sell liners and just take money from people. I've heard several reports of reputable chimney guys that are going in behind these companies, and the people are getting charged, $400 to $1,800 for work that was done, and it's not good work. So, that's just the way it is. And they're also scamming their reviews in a way that you can't turn them in because it's not on Google. If they were Google reviews, we could do something about it, but they're sending them to a third-party Google review site. And a lot of people, or not Google review site, but a third-party review site, excuse me. And a lot of people don't know the difference between Google reviews and, just a site that's a review site. So, that's just one of those things. And sometimes some things we can do things about, some things we can't. But SEO has nothing to do with that. I've had several people call me and say, is there anything we can do? Search engine optimization cannot do anything about ads and a third-party review site. So just let you know that. So here's the next thing. Really, what are your expectations? How much time do you have? Okay. You need to plan on 6 months to a year for anything major happening. And remember, SEO is a long-term play. It's never going to be short-term, ever. It's not going to be short-term. So, that's a really important thing you have to remember. It just doesn't happen overnight. I will tell you, in my experience, sometimes we see remarkable results in areas in 3 months. We have had people that have stayed anywhere between 18 and 24 months to really see a marketable difference. Most of those people are in really competitive.
I was going to say, competition really plays a role in terms of how quickly you make the needle move.
Yeah.
When you're doing the exact same thing that everybody else is trying to do, you've got to stay at it longer and more consistently than others, especially if they've been doing it longer than you have. So staying in the game, it takes time, but it does pay off.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've got a HVAC company that, when I talked to them, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much money this is." And I said, "Well, how much you been spending?" And he told me, and I said, "What'd you get for that?" He said, "Well, I'm talking to you, so I guess I didn't get anything." I said, "Yeah. So you either spend money with me and get something, or stay with them and keep getting nothing." I mean, that's your choice. But people who really know what they're doing, they have, we have people that know their stuff, and that's what it takes. So it's just part of it. So hopefully that explained that well. And if there are any questions or comments, we'll love to bring that out. But I also want to give a little self-promotion here. So tomorrow at 3:00, I'm going to be doing a free webinar on how to grow a small business. You can sign up at I always do this, getsparkcoaching.com. And it's right below the header. There's a place where you can go sign up. Some of you may have gotten emails yesterday or today where you can sign up as well. Would love to see you there. We've got some seats open. So love to fill it up. That'd be great. So I see we have a comment, Carter.
Yeah, Hannah says she's really excited about the webinar. So looking forward to seeing her there tomorrow. That's great. Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to seeing Taylor really start this. I think, Taylor, I'll just give you a plug here. You have so much to offer in terms of, an entrepreneurial perspective of what it takes to start a small business. You've started several, but you've also been a part as a marketer in so many different businesses that are getting off the ground, and how to take a small business and to really grow it, and the things that you need to focus on. So you've distilled it down into what I think is probably one of the best explanations I've ever seen for what a small business owner needs to be thinking about, and how to assess whether or not they're getting, the focus in the right place, whether they're focused where they need to be. So it's going to be good.
I appreciate that. And I'll just tell everybody, it's not me. I've been looking for some curriculum and oh, great, Lou. That's fantastic. I've been looking at curriculum and some things because I think we talk about business all the time, and we're really a lot in the chimney industry, and everybody is so giving in that industry, and they talk a lot, but a lot of people don't really understand it, the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts. Let me put it that way. And so I'm going to do an overview, but in full transparency, I'm starting a coaching deal this year to actually go through the nuts and bolts, and it's going to be a 12-month commitment. And I'm not taking more than 10 people because I just don't have the time, because I am running my own business still. So I'm just taking 10 people to take through a 12-month basically course with me to learn all the nuts and bolts about business. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it all, but it's a really good place to start. So you learn what you're really good at, what you're not really good at, but you need to learn enough about what you're not really good at to be able to lead it. So that's really what it's about. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys signing up. Spark Live is also released as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, or your favorite player. And we're going to have fun next week because I've talked Dave Scribini into coming back. He's going to come back and talk about Google Ads, and he is really, really good with Google Ads. And so I'm excited really to have you guys listen to him and talk to him. He's a dynamic person, and he's another really great business thinker. And I just feel like we're really lucky to have found him and have him a part of our team.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate the likes and the thumbs ups and the hearts, and make sure that you tell other people about the webinar tomorrow if you think they would benefit from that. We look forward to seeing you there. And again, next week when we talk with Dave Scribini and get into some of that good content then. So thanks everybody for being here, and we will talk at you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.